feels like the time is right for me to make an expression. Oh, I love it, I need it, I don't want to leave you guessing. So, will you be my friend? Will you stand by me till the end?
Hey there, welcome inside my real kitchen. Thanks for joining me today. It's freezing cold today. It finally feels like the depths of winter in New Orleans. So I'm making 3 recipes to help warm us up, warm up the kitchen, and just keep our bellies warm throughout the week. Sort of large batch cookery. The first dish we're going to start with today is our coconut creamed collard greens. So the first thing we have to do is get our onions sweating in a pot on the stove, get our collard greens out, washed and prepped and ready to go. We also need to get either our chicken stock, water, bouillon cubes, whatever you're gonna braise your greens in. The coconut milk will go in later. So I'm gonna do water and some dashi stock powder, like fish stock powder, and a cup of fish sauce to start braising these greens. But first off, onion sweating. Now the collard greens are simmering away with their onions, and they've got about a quart of water in there, a tablespoon and a half of dashi flakes, and half a cup of fish sauce. And they're going to simmer away until the greens are tender and the onions are translucent. And then we're going to add some coconut milk to help really cream it out. 1 can definitely, maybe 2 cans. 2 can. And we will see how far down we can get the liquid to go and how much liquid the coconut milk will add, because we don't want it to be a very wet mixture, but we want it to be nice and fatty with that coconut milk. So 1 or 2 cans, we'll find out. So the second dish that we're going to make is a Japanese sweet potato pie, and I'm really excited because the Japanese sweet potato is so starchy and sweet and delicious. I think it's going to be great in a pie. So I have 4 that I've baked off, and they are very hot, but also soft in the middle. Almost already a sweet potato puree is fantastic, so easy to work with. And I just need to get my hands into some flour, make a crust real quick, and we can assemble this pie lickety-split. Our beautiful pie came out of the oven after about 15 minutes of baking and 12 minutes of blind bake on this crust here, which came out pretty rustic, probably because I rushed it. I didn't chill it very long, and once I put it in the pan, I didn't chill it at all before I blind baked. Anyway, it's out, and I can't wait to try it. Our greens have cooked down, and I'm ready to add 1 can of coconut milk. Mix it in and really let it start to cook down now. And I might save that other can of coconut milk for the very end, a little extra creaminess. For now, let's let it simmer like this. To go with the collard greens, I'm putting on a pot of brown rice. I'm doing 2 cups of brown rice, 4 cups of water, that's 2. I'm putting it on the stove till it starts to boil and bubble on top, and then turn it way down all the way to low, cover it, and let it really pressure steam cook itself there in its pot like that for as long as you will let it cook. That's how it should go. It'll be better the longer you let it cook. The third dish that we're going to make today is a big batch of fermented vegetables in the spicy Korean kimchi style that will help keep us warm all winter long with its fresh vegetable, natural bacteria, and good spice warmth inside us because it's cold right now. So the first thing that we need to do is wash all of our vegetables and get them cut up and put in a big bowl, and then we can start our salting and our seasoning. And we also need to wash a large jar or crock, some vessel to hold your veggies in for a long period of time. Now we get to season our big, beautiful bowl of cut up vegetables. First and foremost, we have to start with salt. We have to get a good amount of salt on there, especially since the amount of veggies I have is bigger than the bowl. We have to start the wilting of the greens. So I'm taking 2 healthy pinches of salt here, making sure it gets down in there. You want to get a few more, get it underneath. The salt will draw out the water in the vegetables and help them start to wilt and help a brine to create itself around the vegetables. So we have to let it sit with the salt, and it can take a lot of salt. The salt is what is being used to ferment the vegetables. It's lacto fermentation, and we're creating lactic acid with this salt. I'm also going to add fish sauce, a couple turns around the bowl. Ooh, that's a strong one. And this ground chili with fried garlic paste. That smells good. Ooh, smells spicy too. I'm going to use a good amount, like a big scoop and a half here. And we just want to let this start to marinate with itself. We have to be a little bit patient, especially me, because I have this big bowl that's not big enough for all of these vegetables to be tossed around carelessly. So, okay, now I'm just going to let this sit for a little while, and the vegetables will slowly begin to shrink. So I'm just kind of stirring the kimchi around with the end of a rubber spatula here to help get the cells of the vegetables to break a little bit and the water to release, and to get the flavor mixture spread around evenly, because it's difficult in this tiny bowl. And I've decided I'm going to add a couple turns of sesame oil to the mixture here, toasted sesame oil, and a little bit of rice vinegar. I'm doing this all to taste, so it really just depends on how spicy you want it to be, how zingy and sharp you want it to be, how sweet you want it to be. I'm going to add a little bit of honey to this. Starting to get a good mix on this. And I'm just going to keep going until it creates its own brine. And then it's going to go into jars, and it's going to ferment for 2 weeks before we try it out here at room temperature. It's all mixed up, and I've added a little more garlic and chili, some more salt, a little honey, and some mirin Japanese cooking wine. That's delicious. And spicy. Time to jar this up. So we've got our kimchi all jarred up here, and it's juicing, and it's going to continue to juice all over itself all night long. And I'm going to keep the lid slightly open so that bubbles can come out. And it's going to sit and ferment for 2 weeks at room temperature. We're going to give it a taste after 1 week. We're going to taste it again after 2 weeks, decide if we want to keep it out longer, if we want to put it in the refrigerator, and don't worry, I'll keep you updated. Here we are, back to the creamed greens. They've been braising for about an hour and a half and are really going right now. And I'm turning them way, way down and adding the other can of coconut milk. And now they're almost done. Just gonna let them sit a little bit longer. Let that coconut milk really warm up in there. And we've got our brown rice cooking on here. Looks good. Dinner should be ready soon, about 15 minutes. That is how I like my brown rice. Sticky and cooked, blown out, smooth, sticky. Yes, that is how I like my brown rice. Alright, I've got a steaming hot bowl of greens and rice with a little bit of my fresh kimchi greens on top. Give it a try. The greens are so tender, but they've got a deep, fishy, coconutty, creamy flavor, very savory. We add a little spice with the kimchi. Delicious. Ooh, still so hot. This is really good. It's warming me right up. Yum. Now we get to taste the pie. You can taste a little nutmeg. It's nice. I did put a little pumpkin pie spice in there, so It's a little pumpkin pie, maybe a little too much nutmeg, but it also is its own sweet potato flavor. I like it. Hey, thanks for hanging out and watching and creating inside my real kitchen. See you next time.